What's going on, y'all? Howdy.
Hi.
So, you've probably come across a reel or a TikTok before where you've seen them interview style. Put this in order: your spouse, your mother, your child. Most videos that I've seen, people get pretty hesitant, they get defensive. But what if getting that order wrong is quietly destroying marriages across the world? Right? Tough.
Yeah.
Tough. Crazy.
Tough pill to swallow.
Tough pill to swallow, that's what I was looking for. But we can all agree that family matters, right? But the real question is, whose voice comes first when loyalty, love, and priorities all collide? So that's the topic today. Welcome to episode 7 of The Cooked Truth. Forgot which way I was supposed to look there. Well, what's going on, y'all? Well, it's not gonna be Halloween when you get this episode, but it'll be kind of fun because we made some pumpkins. We went to the pumpkin patch with our daughter for the first time. It's her first fall, her first Halloween. She was born on 3 days after Halloween, right?
Oh, thank goodness.
Thank God, right? It's not a little Satan baby or anything. Just kidding. If you're born on Halloween, it's a joke. It's a joke. We made pumpkins. Well, we didn't make the pumpkins. We painted pumpkins. So we were going to show you guys. This is my wife's beautiful artistic. What did you do?
I did a rabbit.
Is that what Hello Kitty is?
No, just kidding. It's Hello Kitty.
Wow, mine's a rabbit too. No,
he didn't.
Mine is Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff.
Our daughter, I'm not joking, she can be flying off the handles, going bananas, and I start singing the Jigglypuff song, and she goes to sleep, which if you're Pokemon lore, Jigglypuff can put people to sleep with her song.
Yeah,
so
with a microphone.
Yeah, a little microphone. So this is Jigglypuff.
She usually has like a little.
Yeah, we're gonna make that later. Anyways, these are our pumpkins.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, back on topic. You know, we wanted to make a video about this because it's something that I told you about, and you were like,
I'm unaware
dumbfounded
of what this trend is.
right? I showed you and explained
what?
these videos to you, and I gave you a couple different examples of people asking these questions and answering them, and you were kind of like dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Like totally.
I was like, are these people married? Like, are they parents? Do they what? You know? A
lot of videos of people in college and campuses that I saw that had none of either of them, just like giving their opinion, which kind of seems like most people today. No fruit on the tree in the arena in which they're talking about. But really, I mean, so we want to kind of give our perspective on that because I do think that it's something that is quietly destroying a marriage. And from what we had heard, right, if you haven't heard these videos, most people I heard put their mother first, they put their child next, and they put their wife last. Now, a lot of people may struggle. I mean, those are 3 very important relationships. Now, the answers that I heard from a lot of people were, it's my mom. My wife is replaceable. Yikes, which I think is one of the wildest comments. Just, again, it talked culture versus what we believe, right? Biblical truth, culture truth, or perspective, I guess you can, however you want to word it. But this is something that like we're really passionate about, like marriage and how to have a successful marriage, right? When you've got a divorce rate that's anywhere between 40 and 70%, depending on who's giving the statistic and talking about, I mean, it's a very deep subject. Yeah. And I'd say half of marriages today end in a divorce. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? You know, and that goes for Christian in the church as well. This isn't going, oh, if you're a Christian, you're not going to have divorce, or if you're, Jewish, you're not going to have a divorce, or whatever it is. This is divorce, like across the board, is pretty high nowadays. And I think it's because people have their priorities wrong. And so when you kind of heard those kids, people, other men talking about, and some women too, right? Both sides I heard interviews from. What's your mind go to like when you heard someone give that answer?
Well, kind of like what I asked before. I'm like, are they married themselves? Because if they are, yikes.
Scary thought.
That probably won't last very long. Are they parents themselves? Do they have kids? You know, like what you said, do they have fruit on that tree? And it's almost that mentality. My mind goes to the first wife mentality, the first husband mentality. What does that mean? It's like, okay, people joke, oh, that's my second wife, third wife, fourth wife, because divorce is a big option.
So common.
It is. It's an option for people as a backdoor, and for us, we definitely don't say that word at all, ever, have never, within our house. And
it's a hard boundary. We do not use the D word.
No.
It's never been spoken in our relationship ever.
No. And being able to have that as a, oh, if it doesn't work out, then X, Y, and Z. If he does this, if she does this, then, peace out. It's an easy fix type of thing, and it's the norm.
Yeah, I think we live in a society where there's a lot more options, and those options are right in front of our face. I've heard something before I even met you that rang so true that I saw in society, and it's, again, you don't have to believe this, you don't have to believe in, you believe whatever you want to believe in, but this is what I've seen in my life, right? Before you get married, the devil will do anything and everything he can to bring you together sexually, right? Premarital sex, for those of you that want the term. However, when you get married, the devil will do everything in his power to bring you apart. Why is that? Well, I believe that the devil wants to pervert and destroy anything that God has made beautiful, which our belief, marriage is a union between us and God. This isn't a legal contract. It is a covenant that we have made between our God and each other, where we believe that our flesh becomes one. We are together. There's no other outside anything. So that covenant that we have made, that puts my wife as the number one priority, right below God. My wife is number one. I also believe that, 2,000 years ago, a lot of our beliefs you'll hear through have biblical backing to them. It's not our opinion. We just decide to go, hey, the culture in the world teaches this way, and the Bible has taught things this way. And a lot of this has been taken out of context, so a lot of people run away from that, or they've had poor examples of people that claimed to be, a Christian or a man of God, and they were hypocrites. That's why most people have left Christianity. It's why most people leave a faith, is because they were taught it by someone who wasn't walking the talk.
And with that, it just reminds me how, listening to a couple of the video examples you just showed, my mind immediately goes toward very similar for even myself, or even for Caleb. Our past hurts can be projected into our future decisions.
Right.
And seeing individuals making the prioritization that you're saying, my thought process goes, what was modeled for them? What was the example for them?
Totally.
Did they have a present mom, father in the house? Did they have a traumatic childhood growing up? How was their relationship with their parents? Because that then ultimately affects how they prioritize their future.
That's what you watched.
Their decisions. And as much as they may not want to admit that bias, I'd be the same way.
Yep.
If I, let's say, for example, if I had, I'm trying to think, a poor relationship, which I don't, but a poor relationship, let's say, with my mom that was very traumatic, all this stuff, then I would ultimately have a swayed bias toward how maybe I prioritize that as a mom myself. And that's where my mindset goes.
Yeah, and I think that when I look at we become one flesh, the next part of that is you cleave to, or you cleave away from?
Cleave away.
You cleave away from your mother and father. So we are taught that I've got my mom and dad, you've got your mom and dad. When we get married, we become one, and we leave that. Now, what does leave mean? That doesn't mean that we tell them all to fly a kite. But it does mean in future decision making that the filter that we make decisions has nothing to do with anyone outside of you and I, in our children. You are number one. You are a priority. You are the number one spot. And then any kids after that, they come below that. They come below you because why? Well, because when they leave the house, I'm still with you.
Well,
that's a temporary relationship inside of my home. This is a forever relationship inside of my home. Just one piece of why that is.
It's true. Because you're not marrying your mom.
No.
You're marrying me.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me too of those videos I've kind of seen of the gender reveals, and the mother-in-law goes zooming in past the bride, and they
hugs their son or something,
and it kind of takes away that
moment.
I've
seen so many of those videos.
I've only allowed myself to see a couple because I'm like, is that
wild
real?
To me.
That's a real thing. Like these.
What do they call that?
They call it a lack of boundaries.
Well, that's one thing what it's called, but it's something spouse. What's it called? A surrogate spouse. Yeah.
And
a whole other topic.
I think, again, going to your point of this facade of what it truly means to prioritize in a way that is healthy, in a way that is biblical,
right,
and in a way that is going to be conducive for future generations. Because I look at a video like that and I go, wow, what would, if they had kids, what would their children think of that if they saw that?
Yeah.
How that mother-in-law treated that wife in that moment, and how the husband didn't properly prioritize that, and now, regardless of anybody else, mom is more important.
Yep.
That is our laundry.
The absolute worst. It's the worst buzzer. And so we're going to edit only this part out real quick.
That's fine.
No, it's going to buzz 4 more times.
Oh, why don't you just go get it?
That's what I'm going to go do. Is why I just...
Oh.
Thanks, Jake.
I'm sorry. I could tell a joke.
No, I'm going to edit that part out.
But welcome back. Having your child see that and that lack of boundary and that lack of prioritization shows, and your actions display more than what your mouthpiece does.
Kids learn by what's caught, not taught.
And all they see is, oh, dad is choosing grandma over mom and taking her side. Oh, I could treat mom that way. She's not that important, type of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a huge piece, because as your children see that, like for heaven, I want heaven to marry a man that will prioritize heaven over his mom, over his dad. And I want her to make decisions together with us not as number one. Hopefully we have a relationship where we can offer perspective if they ever want advice on things, or like a relationship. But I fully intend and expect her to take her husband's side in any type of conflict. And I truly think that is, in today's society, top 5. I would go out and say top 5 silent killers in a marriage is not having priorities right, and having their mom or their dad have way too much say in their relationship. I mean, I look back at our relationship, and through dating there was quite a bit of outside voices. Quite a bit. And this is different from dating than marriage, you guys. I'm not saying you put your boyfriend above your mom. This is for marriage talk. We are talking marriage. But I want my daughter to see that example. I want her to know that you are my number one priority, my wife. And then everything comes outside of that and under that umbrella. And I think as that's shown, it's again like what you said, children don't learn by what's taught. They learn by what's being done, right? We come from latchkey generation of a lot of parents out there that said one thing and did another thing. And it's a human nature, right? We are all hypocrites in some way or another. Not perfect at all, right? And I think that truth right there has given us such a strong foundation and has allowed us peace of mind. I mean, what's that do for you when you look at, my priorities? It's you, my daughter, everyone else. When we stop saying mom, it's everyone else after that.
It makes me feel secure. It makes me feel like I am valued and important. And again, I don't find my happiness in Caleb, right? You add to my happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes me feel secure as a mom, as a wife, knowing that you have my back and I have yours. And like you said, there have been seasons where we've had to really work on that, or situations where we had to voice and communicate, like, hey, I'm feeling this way, and I feel like you don't have my back right now, which
we definitely have those conversations.
Is, not biblical. I mean, being able to be like, hey, I have your back, and on the same page because we are equally yoked.
Yeah.
And I think
equally yoked. What's that mean?
Yeah. What does equally yoked mean?
Bold statement. Like, what the hell does a yoked egg have to do with being equal?
The egg.
Equal rights, equal eggs.
What do you think about what?
I don't know, bumper sticker.
What do you think about back in the day, oxen, and you asked, I'm gonna give it. So you have oxen that would till the soil, and they had to be yoked together. Yoked together.
Homeboys, yoked. Is that what that comes from? The oxen.
Yeah, both ox. Yeah, they were yoked together, and they had to be equal in strength and distribution to be able to properly till the soil.
When they were connected. If this one moved, it affected this one.
Yep, and you can't. I imagine, let's say I'm a farmer back in the day, I can't have this scrawny little ox like tied to this yoked jacked ox. Like, there's gonna be some difficulties, right? So you want to be equally yoked in that.
Yeah.
There.
That's a solid example. I love that, equally yoked, and that's why we talk a lot about non-negotiables. We talk about learning a lot of this stuff on the front end, right? Learning this through dating. Which asterisk doesn't take you 10 years to do.
Because once you're married, if we're, let's say, you think about it, we're not talking divorce, we're not talking any back door, you better figure out if you like the person and you want to spend the rest of your life with that person, because you're going to be equally yoked. And if you're not, then of course you're going to have difficulties having each other's backs in situations. I can definitely say now that we have grown and matured in so many different ways to where now we definitely have each other's backs in a lot of situations where I'm not going to be like, I don't know about that, I don't believe in you, so we're going to go to believe your dad was right in that situation, And
it's not just family, it's friends. I think it's very important as I've gotten older to realize that, I grew up in a culture of bros before hoes. Right? Chicks before dicks.
Wow.
Right? These are things that I grew up around. These are the culture of the bro code, you always choose your homies above everyone else. I think back in the MySpace days, right? You always had your number one homie above even the girl that you were dating.
And then you look at the relationships you had.
They all failed. Fun note, right? But I look at that, again, backwards priorities.
Right.
I can talk so strongly about this and be so passionate about it because I've cooked this up, right? This is a cooked truth that I've learned by doing it the wrong way. I've had relationships, friendships, people that I've put above my wife. And it never ended well. It's never ended very well. And I would say the last year plus, our marriage has never been better. We've never been more on the same page because we've pruned and restructured a lot of relationships in our life to where now that is what it looks like. Because what I said, my priorities, those have been my priorities, but how I acted them out hadn't always been on point. And I believe that sometimes myself, you'll learn a lot. Sometimes I gotta learn things the wrong way first and then learn. Like my daughter the other day, she touched the stove twice. And it was such a moment for myself that was like, I remember doing that as a kid, but B, remembering that like, been there. You know, sometimes you gotta like do it a couple times to realize like that was dumb. Well, I look at this situation here. I've placed friendships and other relationships not above you, but in it when a situation happened, like maybe I had their back over yours in a situation, and
in that moment,
suicide to a marriage.
I would say though, in that moment or in that situation, yes, that you did place them.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think that's a part of looking in the mirror sometimes and going, I did that. Because the human nature inside of me wants to justify why I did that or defend myself, because that's embarrassing. If you choose a friend over your wife, you're an idiot. Like, your marriage, I can promise you, is not where you want it to be, and it's not headed where you want it to go. I can guarantee that 100 times out of 100, right? And so I look at these types of like society, and you ask yourself as you're listening to this podcast, have you seen or experienced like a mother-in-law or a father-in-law that's way too involved in the relationship? Like, we've got friends, we hear people talk about different things and scenarios and stuff, and it's like, there's no boundaries in that marriage. Their mother-in-law has a lot of power over decisions that they're making. We're just listening, right? Like, you ask our opinion, we ain't giving it. I'm staying in my lane.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to see that, how much, mama's boy or, daddy's girl, to a point where it's like they aren't able to make their own decisions, and someone else is like pulling the strings of this marriage, right? Have you guys ever seen relationships like that? It's all over television too, but in society, we've all experienced those relationships.
I think it's part of the control aspect, right? And one thing that we've really been, I was reading this book that is so good. I swear we should do a podcast on it. And it's talking a lot about parenting, where it's 11:11, and we prepare our kids up until, let's say, 18. I mean, nowadays kids are staying with their parents until 30, 35. That's a whole nother thing. Probably adds to what we're talking about, the prioritization. No wonder you got to put mommy first, because she's paying your bills. So,
hey, that's a topic.
Sorry, that was a little spicy. Where's my tea?
You drink it.
I did. Anyways, we prepare our kids, let's say, for 18, and our hope and prayer is that we instill so much of our values and have empowered our daughter, our future kids, to make sound decisions using their free will on their own that are in alignment with their values, and hopefully their values are in alignment with ours and God's, right? To then go and, make decisions and make those priorities. But if I'm, let's say, more unsure of myself or insecure myself in that prioritization, then I'm going to death grip past 18 and have, like you said, puppets and strings in every aspect of my daughter's life, even until she's married, even when she has kids. And that's where the lack of those, let's say, scissors to cut those strings and lack of boundaries doesn't allow her to truly flourish. No,
you're spot on. As a parent, you want to be needed, right? And we're obviously new parents, but I've seen it in a lot of other parents. And you want to be needed. You want someone to need you. Now, that can be really healthy or that can be unhealthy. And I think when it becomes unhealthy is when you create or you almost hinder growth. So, like for an example, you don't teach your kid how to run a checkbook, or you don't teach them a budget. So they're constantly forever going to need to be asking you questions about a budget. A small example, right? But there's bigger ways that happens, right? Where you need to be needed, and it doesn't allow you to have a healthy relationship with your child, because one day they're going to go and marry someone, hopefully, right? And when that happens, do they still need you? It's a tough one, right? But like what you talked about, I want to prepare Heaven to where she wants us around, that she doesn't need us around, that we're preparing her for the world. We're not preparing the world for her. Right? We live in such a society where it's like, how can I put this bubble around this kid and not let them fail? And how can I project all of my things onto them that I didn't really live up to? But I'm going to help them, give them the opportunities that I never had, and X, Y, and Z, right? That's a whole other topic. But we do these things, and now the kid is the priority at number one. I'll full circle this. Now your kid is the number one priority, and now your whole world revolves around your kid, and you're trying to fill these things that young you never got to fill.
Oh, boy.
So now what you're doing is now your spouse takes the back end. And when you had a rough day, maybe you had an argument with your spouse, and you come home, and your daughter's always happy to greet you, or your son's always happy to greet you, and you know if you go greet your spouse that your wife's upset with you. Who are you going to choose? Who do you choose to go to first? Because I can tell you right now, I've had some really upset days with Jade, and I want my daughter to see me first thing coming home and kissing her. No matter how upset I am with her or whatever's going on, I want my daughter to see that. I want my daughter to see that this is my priority. My child, I'm pumped about. I am beyond excited about our daughter. I am excited to give her the world. But she's also going to know that my wife is the priority to her. That at the end of the day, I'm having my wife's back. We created her. Now, was that saying we brought you into this world, we'll take you out of the world? But at the end of the day, this is my girl. This is my number one. I chose this. And I chose my kid too. But this is such a priority that if you spin that around, now your spouse takes the back end. And then you become roommates. Yeah. How often do we see that today, where it's total roommate situation, and the kid runs the house?
So much of that.
It's super sad.
So many examples. I think we've been really privy and blessed over the last handful of years to see that example, and
a lot of people.
The example, not just the example of looking through a lens of judgment, but looking through a lens of, okay, I see this, and how do I want to parent differently? What do I want to do differently in my home? Not, oh my gosh, I can't believe they do this, blah, 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 right? Which I think can be easily done. But we have chosen to be like, okay, that is the fruit that I see coming from that behavior is not what I want in my house and not what I want for my kids. So I'm going to do something different. That's how we look at things. And when you're talking about the kids on the pedestal, I think it creates so much pressure on the kids.
Oh, way too much pressure on the kid. Now the kid's carrying your whole family.
Performance, the kid runs the schedule. We were the primo examples. You're talking to the eldest of children, right, on both sides.
The elders.
The elders. We're the elders. We're like the Lord of the Rings.
Elders of the childs. Yikes.
But we were put on pedestals in a season of our life for, performing and running the calendar and, the activities, sports, whatever it is. And it's so much give. You have an abundance of, I'll say for my example, you have abundance of clothes because maybe, the mom didn't have clothes or the dad didn't have clothes. I'm just using examples, not to say that they're true, but, I did have a lot of clothes, but being able to have, like you said, giving so much of what you didn't have that you pendulum swing. And now the child is all the pressure, all of the spotlight. And like you said, the spouse is drifting further away. I kind of look at it, okay, if your child is the island and you're in the boat, you're going more toward the island and you left your spouse in a whole other boat on some other island, and they're just like, hey, life raft. We haven't had a date night in 10 years. I don't think that there's ever been a situation where we haven't had a date night in more than 6 months.
No, a couple weeks maybe.
Right, maybe a couple weeks. But and again, a date night doesn't have to mean balling out, going on a fancy dinner in a dress. It can be intentional time with each other. But I look at that where we've seen examples where maybe moms run ragged and tired AF and taking care of the kids, doing the laundry, cleaning, all the things. Dad's at work, dad's at work providing, and they haven't seen each other, let alone spent time together, not talking about the kids and getting to just be present with one another in months. And you can't tell me that doesn't affect that prioritization and the values and what that marriage
It affects the home. And with a child placed as the number one priority, you create narcissism in a child. You create that the world revolves around that kid. You create an environment that if you don't perform well, the happiness of the home is on your back. Parent, usually, I'm going to have a bad attitude. I'm upset because you didn't perform as well as I thought you should have. So now you create a transactional relationship with your kid, and now you've got the whole world revolving around a child, and that child's going to grow up thinking that the world revolves around them.
Entitlement.
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of entitlement, right? But that is a huge reason why we have my spouse as the number one priority, right? I can spoil the hell out of my spouse. I can give you the world, right? Those types of relations, like that's what I want to have with you. And so for us, like you mentioned, you nailed it on the head. We have so many friends and people around us that like they do things different than us, and that's okay. When we look at things and we learn things, we have like, it's almost like righteously judging. Like it's not judging in a way that we're gossiping behind their back. We're learning like, how can we do something different? Like, oh, I really like that they do that. How can we do that? Or we see something and go, I don't know if we would do it that way. And that's okay. And I want to stay on this topic real quick because that is okay, that we don't have to agree with every single little thing. Now, if it's something that's like a core value, we're going to have a conversation about it. And we're going to go, should we say something? Should we have a conversation? Should we be around that person? Do we need to establish a boundary? Right? See our previous conversations and podcasts talking about boundaries. But we can go and look at it through a lens of how can we learn from this versus being bitter and angry and judgmental and just nasty. We can just go, those are their kids. That's their home, right? You hear everything that we're talking about today, y'all.
Yeah.
You can go put these priorities and rank this however the hell you want. You put your dog as number one for all I care. Like, I genuinely don't give a shit. I just know what works in our home. I know what's been beautiful for us. I know, and I've seen the other side of things when people do rank it the other way and prioritize different relationships over, their spouse or whatever that is for you. And I just know where two paths go. And I just choose this one every single time. But again, if you want to learn that the hard way, go do it. Have at it. It doesn't affect my life whatsoever. And, we talk about divorce too. Like, we don't look at divorce through judgment. I look through divorce as pure sadness. It breaks my heart, divorce, because I know the fracturing that it not only does to your soul, I know the fracturing that it does to children. And you can't find me one person that goes, oh, I'm so pumped about my divorce. Now, you might be happy because you got divorced and afterwards, but you can't tell me that there wasn't pain and agony and struggle and issues that you went through, and maybe it was so bad that now you're happy, and I get that. But I'm so passionate that, like, if this conversation can encourage one person to just think about, like, maybe I've had my priorities a little bit backwards. Maybe I have been putting my kid above my spouse. Maybe I have been letting my mother speak into my marriage. And maybe my mom has actually been talking crap about my wife, and I haven't stood up for her lately. And my wife has noticed that. I hope that maybe this encourages one person to go, maybe that's not right. No one's taught me that. Maybe your father didn't teach you that. Right? And I hope that you can see this through like a young, excited, loving, Christ-centered marriage and judge it from that point of view. And we're not asking you to agree with us. All that we want to do is say, hey, this is what we've been doing. And this is what has created such a beautiful environment for our daughter, for us. And it creates a safety net for us to make mistakes. It creates a safety net for us to just, I tell you guys that not a year ago, I've had prioritization of relationships over my wife. In situations and in that moment, for sure. And we've had to have some tough conversations about that. So the stuff that we talk about, y'all, it's been tried and tested and done, and probably done the wrong way 20 times by me, and then figured out, like, through the grace of Jade, of allowing patience for me to figure out how to do it right. And I just owe you a thank you, because I mean, just making so many mistakes and going down the wrong path and just doing things wrong, you've always allowed me, because I know that you have that priority right. I know that you've always had me above all those other things when we got married, right? Like, you've shown it through different family members, you've shown it through friends, of like people saying things are this, Y, and Z, and people trying to have outside influences into our relationship, and you set boundaries. You showed me that you have my back, and it gives me so much peace knowing that, like, if my wife goes and has like a wine night with her girls, I'm not worried about people speaking into our marriage in a weird way.
No.
I'm not worried about it if we get into an argument that you're going to go on Facebook and air it all out to the world.
No.
That'll be a whole other topic. If you do that, don't do that. if you've got drama in your relationship, keep it in your relationship. A, no one wants to hear it, but B, you are causing some serious problems with also a digital footprint. So I'll digress on that, but I just want to thank you.
Absolutely.
I think this is such an important topic that I'm grateful that we're on the same page about.
100%.
And our goal is for you all just to, again, hope this sparks some thought.
Yeah.
We hope that this equips you to go, maybe I did think that my mom was number one. I get it. She birthed you. I get it. Like, you're gonna take a bullet from your mom, as you should. I get it. Like,
it's not to like kiss off your mom
No.
or your dad.
no.
It's being able to realize, okay, they're still important in my life, but they're not my ultimate decision
I'm not married to them.
maker in my life.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. So, it's episode 7, y'all. Appreciate you. Thanks for listening. If this touched you, if this encouraged you, share it with someone, smash that subscribe button, like it, do whatever you can to support us. We appreciate it. We love it. We're having a blast doing this, and we hope you guys have been having fun as well, because this is really, it's been something that we've really enjoyed.
And we want to be able to get some feedback. We love any type of comments that you have, and any type of topics that you want to share, or
drop it in the chat.
You know, you want us to touch on and speak our mind about. I don't know. It'd be fun.
Maybe we'd have you as a guest on the show, and we can talk about it too.
Oh boy, I don't know about that, but maybe.
Oh, if the price is right.